On today's show, the Golden State Warriors reunited with Will Richard, and it feels so good. But why did it take so long?
You are Locked On Warriors, your daily Golden State Warriors podcast.
What are they going to say now?
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's good, everyone? Welcome to Locked On Warriors. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Now the #1 sports podcast network out there. This show is free and available on YouTube and wherever you get your audio podcasts. Hit that like, hit that subscribe. Thank you for tuning in to the program today. We're going to talk about the win over the Phoenix Suns, a little split in a two-game series, and not back-to-back, but 2 games over a 3-day stretch with Phoenix. What we liked from that game, specifically Will Richard, as he re-enters the rotation and scores 20 points in his 19 minutes of game action. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Check out FanDuel.com and the FanDuel app to get started. My name is Charlie Walter. Kylan Mills, the co-host on today's program. Kylan, how we feeling? Welcome back to the show. It's been a minute.
Yeah, it's great to be back on the show talking about what was a big clutch win for the Warriors on Saturday night and kind of looking ahead to how they can utilize this and how they can utilize Will Richard, because he got long deserved minutes that he's not been getting. To me, every time that he's been in the rotation, he's been great. And then seeing him perform the way he did just makes you scratch the head even more as to what is Steve Kerr thinking? Why has this guy not been in the rotation? One thing I do want to talk about, and I think we can go a lot of different directions with Will Richard, is the fact that Steve Kerr said in an interview last week on 95.7 The Game, I think it was last week, I remember seeing it on my Twitter feed, that one of the big reasons why Will Richard was not playing was because he's a rookie. Flat out. Plain and simple. We've talked a lot on this program about Steve Kerr needing to have more trust and a longer leash in the young players on this roster beyond just Will Richard. It's something that's been a theme the last couple seasons. And Steve Kerr spelled it out in an interview on the Warriors radio partners, saying that one of the big reasons why he's been out of the rotation is the fact that he's a rookie, and that, according to Kerr, the veterans deserve their due because of what they've done in the past for the team. And it's time to move past that mindset and that dynamic, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's different because he's like 23 years old at this point. He's like older than Kuminga. Yeah. He's as old as Moody. He's older than Podziemski. He's got a lot of seasoning at the college level, and he makes veteran plays. It feels like the play at the end of the first half, when he got that rebound and stuck it back in, and just the electricity that he showed and the three-pointer that he knocked down from the corner. I mean, he had 4 or 5 threes, hit his first 6 shots of the game, didn't even play that much, and was just a complete game changer in the minutes that he had. It was such an interesting game, Kylan, because the Warriors started off pretty bad. I mean, they were down 14 points. Yeah. Draymond Green gets ejected, and really right after Draymond got ejected, the entire game changed, and it was in part due to Will Richard. I guess most shockingly for me is the way that he shot the ball to start the season. I don't have the statistics in front of me, but he's got to be near 40% from three-point range. He's been really, really good shooting it, but it's just his overall game. Like, it doesn't appear that he has any real weaknesses to his game. He seems smart. He's long. He crashes the glass. He plays pretty decent help side defense, pretty decent on-ball defense. He shoots the ball pretty well. Don't know what he is from the charity stripe, but I feel like he's pretty good from there as well. It just seems like he's an overall solid player. So for Kerr to take him out of the rotation when other guys really haven't stepped up to take his spot, I guess DeAnthony Melton came back and he's healthy, but it truly doesn't make sense. It's baffling. And I've been saying this for a while. I really like Will Richard.
Yeah, I mean, Yeah, I think you made a great point about what other role players for the Warriors are outplaying Will Richard at this point. What other role players have solidified that they deserve the minutes they've been getting? Because that's one thing I think a lot of the Warriors role players have been disappointing. And Will Richard's coming in and providing the injection of life that he did in a variety of ways. I mean, let's just talk about the stat line real quick, because you pointed out the efficiency to me is through the roof. Will Richard finished that game against the Suns with 20 points in 19 minutes. And that was pretty similar to the stat line throughout the entire game, where he was scoring more points in minutes he'd been in the game, extremely efficient from the floor, 6 of 7, 4 of 4 from deep, 4 of 4 from the charity stripe, 5 rebounds. And then he did unfortunately have a couple turnovers, but aside from that, I don't know what you can really complain about. As you mentioned, Will Richard has a high motor. He makes hustle plays. He makes high IQ plays. I think that he has a ton of potential to be a playmaker in addition to a scorer. I'm a little bit surprised that you're surprised, though, by Will Richard's stat line, because I watched him play quite a bit at Florida, and the versatility in terms of the way that he can score is something that I remember going back to his last season with the Gators. I think he averaged right around 13 points per game, but his shooting splits are really good. It was like 49, 37, 84, 85, I want to say. So he was a good shooter on a team that won a national championship.
I think it was like 35. I think
What?
that was the number that he was mainly around 35 for his collegiate career.
Okay.
I feel like.
All right. Fair. Fine. But he was a pretty good shooter. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I think that actually watching his shooting mechanics, he's better shooting. He has a better looking shot than some other players on the Warriors. So I don't know. I mean, maybe, the efficiency that we saw last night probably is not sustainable in terms of 4 of 4 from beyond the arc. But if he can continue to shoot the ball the way he's been shooting, even, a slightly similar clip, I think that you're happy with the contributions that he provides. On the season, though, 43% from deep with the Warriors, it's outstanding. And again, I think it just goes to show that Steve Kerr has to, like I said, I do think it goes back to Steve Kerr, though, needing to broaden and change the mindset in terms of giving these players an opportunity. The Warriors are not winning. Here's the thing. Like, I will never question Steve Kerr if he's saying, hey, I'm sticking to the guys of the rotation. Like, we're in a little bit of a rut. The Warriors have not gotten off to a good start this season. So at what point do you have to say, listen, we're playing the best players on the floor? And to me, every time Will Richard is out there, he's definitely a guy who deserves to be in the 8-9 man rotation. Is he not?
Well, that's the issue, is the Warriors don't have an 8-9 man rotation. They have a 13 man rotation right now, and it's all over the place.
Because nobody is truly, to me, like playing like they deserve minutes, like they want to grab and take hold of their spot aggressively. Like, who do you feel like on this team outside of Steph Curry? And I actually thought Jimmy Butler played well last night, and we've seen.
I feel like Will is. I feel like he's deserving of these minutes.
Yeah, but I'm saying
he's
who
not
is?
deserving
I'm saying
of
who
DNPs
is?
at this point. He scored what, 30 points in the game where all the stars were out for the Warriors against Sacramento. So he showed that he can really pack a punch. And then in other games, he doesn't really look to shoot unless he's wide open. He just kind of goes with the flow and helps move the ball on offense and plays solid defense and crashes the glass and does what he needs to do and accepts the role that's asked of him that game. And sometimes you need guys like that in the lineup. I mean, he was kind of notorious for being a starter to start the season, but not really playing starters minutes. Like he'd come in, he'd play 9-10 minutes, he'd take a few shots, and you'd be like, Will Richard has started the last few games? Like, what's going on in the box score? But he wouldn't really pack a punch on the stat line. And I'm interested to see if Kerr rewards that play for more than one game, because we've seen now with Pat Spencer, his role's been reduced a little bit since Curry returns, and it just feels like there is no rhyme or reason for his rotations. They're just kind of all over the place. They're extremely confusing, and it makes me feel like a consolidation trade is coming at some point. The question is, who would be involved in that consolidation trade? Who would the Warriors return? And is there any chance that they stick this thing out and try to go this strength in numbers 12-man rotation that they've been doing to start this year?
I've seen some theories or conspiracy theories, rumors, whatever, on some of the Twitter social media pages, Reddit, that's the reason why Will Richard hasn't been playing, is something about maybe the Warriors are trying to package him up with Jonathan Kuminga in a potential trade. I don't necessarily think that's the case. I actually buy what Steve Kerr is selling in an interview and saying that he just leans into playing the veterans because those are guys that he feels like have earned their minutes based on the longevity of their careers, even if they're not playing well right now. But I have seen that floated out there on the internet. So do with that what you will. There have to be changes. I don't know who, what, when, but there have to be changes because right now this roster is not competitive. I mean, the Warriors are sitting back in play-in land, back in Never Never land, which is the situation they just don't want to be in. I think you got to add, well, listen, I don't want to go down this rabbit hole, Chuck. I think you need to add some size. But then again, like, this is a Warriors team that's offense is predicated on pace and space and the motion and hitting threes, and they're not hitting threes at a high enough clip. But listen, when the three ball isn't falling, there's not enough interior scoring for them to balance out and be able to win basketball games. And also with the way that they play with pace, they tend to turn the ball over. And when you turn the ball over, you have to be able to like outshoot the number of turnovers and the number of possessions that you're giving away. When they're not shooting the ball at a high enough clip and they're turning the ball over and they don't have any interior scoring threats, that's a losing brand of basketball. It just is. And they're too small. And that's the other thing that I'm going to say about that.
All right, when the show continues, we're going to talk about Draymond Green. Also, just the rebounding that the Warriors had, dominating the Suns on the glass. But first of all, we got to get into this Draymond Green, and also just the reaction that Steve Kerr had to Draymond getting ejected in the game. That's straight ahead on Locked On Warriors.
Destroy Jimmy and Domino's. I know Jimmy drinks great wine.
Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at Robinhood. Nobody knows your money goals better than you. Robinhood puts you in control of your money with tools that work as hard as you do. Locking in on every opening, beating your PR, beating it again, channel that drive into your money. Robinhood puts you in control of your money. Trade stocks and ETFs, options, futures, and crypto all in one platform. You can now build and execute your own trades from a desktop with Robinhood Legends advanced tools, or take advantage of the new Robinhood Strategies with a tailored portfolio managed by a team of experts. You expect more from yourself? Expect more from your money. Get started today at Robinhood.com/yourmoney. Again, that's Robinhood.com/yourmoney. It's your money, your move. All right, let's get back to the program. All right, so Draymond Green was ejected. He was going at Colin Gillespie, who's actually having a really good season for the Phoenix Suns. So they were going at it. Draymond pushes him on the way back, tee up. He starts yelling, ejection. Steve Kerr was irate, and after the game, Kerr said the reason he was mainly so frustrated is because Dylan Brooks, the game prior on Thursday, punched Steph Curry in the chest, a non-basketball play. He was hit with a flagrant 1. Meanwhile, Draymond Green is hit with a flagrant, not a flagrant 2. He's just ejected. And Draymond was pissed. Moses Moody had to hold him back. Brandon Pajimski pushed him back. Draymond leaves the floor. The Warriors play better. I have to ask a serious question at this point, because the 1-2 punch of Steph and Draymond is not what it used to be. It's very turnover prone, and it's just it's not as cohesive as it once was, in my opinion. Just my opinion. The Jimmy Butler 1-2 punch seemed a lot better when they started running actions through Jimmy and Steph. Butler had 25 points in the game. Meanwhile, Steph Curry had 28 points in the game. We always talk big three: Steph Curry, Jimmy Butler, Draymond Green. Is it time we start talking big two and we need to find a third-headed snake for that big three, or can we still rely on Draymond as a member of the big three? And I know he's great defensively.
He's a big three in terms of being a legend with this Warriors organization. So I don't want to take away from what Draymond Green has accomplished and how outstanding he's been during the NBA championship runs. And he's a big reason why the Warriors have so much hardware. But right now, I don't think Draymond Green is making a big three. Is he making an all defensive team? Maybe. But is he I don't want to say liability on offense. I'm not sure that I'm ready to cross that line.
Yeah, he's a complete liability.
But he definitely isn't a threat. And that's the issue, because when defenders are able to leave Draymond Green and go double someone else, it makes the offense that much more difficult, and it takes away the space that the Warriors are trying to create, because Draymond Green is not a threat from almost anywhere on the floor. I mean, at this point, his offensive game is non-existent. And the crazy thing is, like, going back to some of the Warriors' earlier championships, like, he was scoring. Going back to when he was a player at Michigan State, he was averaging like 20 per game. And I don't know what happened to that, but the offensive game for Draymond Green has nearly gone out the window. And then the turnover numbers certainly are a concern. Now, he does handle the ball a lot. He plays that point forward position. But obviously over 3 turnovers per game is problematic.
His assist numbers are the lowest they've been since 2015.
Okay. Also, good context to know. Here's the thing. Draymond Green belongs on this team. But is he a big three? No. And that's the problem. The Warriors do not have a reliable third scorer. And it's a concern that we talked about coming into the season. And sure enough, it's reared its ugly head. A lot of people pointed to, hey, maybe Jonathan Kuminga, now that he's back with the team, he's trying to earn a big contract or whatever after this season. I don't know what exactly his future plans are, but like maybe he'll come in motivated. He's officially part of the team. He can take that big step forward and be that number 3 scorer. That hasn't transpired. Obviously, he's, dealt with some stuff, but Brandon Pajemski, that's not your reliable third scorer. He's very inconsistent, I think, still with shooting the basketball. And I like Pods. And I think he brings a lot of the intangibles, and I love the hustle in terms of, the guard who can rebound and all this other stuff. But like, he's not a big 3. Moses Moody, I don't think has taken a big enough step forward. So who's your big 3? I mean, that's the problem. There's not a third. There's not a reliable third scorer. And the Warriors at this point are relying on a rotational cast and kind of do it by committee, but that hasn't worked. And I also think late in games that can be problematic because the Warriors have been in all these clutch games, all these clutch situations. And when Steph Curry's having an off night, or when teams are face guarding him, or they find a way to shut him down late, like I guess you go to Jimmy, but it's just the fact that there's not a third option, which the Dogs also are upset about as well.
Yeah, I can hear him in the background. Just the shooting hasn't really been there for the Warriors thus far. And we were hoping that D'Anthony Melton and Seth Curry, they would step into the rotation and really fix some things. Melton has struggled to shoot it off the top of my head without looking at the numbers. He's really struggled to put the ball in the basket thus far. And then Seth Curry has been he was awesome. And I think the lone game that he played, and he has been out of the lineup since, dealing with nagging, I want to say quad, although I just assume that, it's a quad at this point with the Currys. It's either quad or a hamstring. It's front or back. It's one of the two. And that's someone that they need. They need that shooting back in the lineup. I did not think that a month or two ago. I thought that Seth Curry was, maybe the 11th person off the bench and he would get many, many DNPs. But that's when I also thought Buddy Hield was going to shoot it better than 30% from deep. Buddy has been just non-existent. And we're getting into the dangerous time of the year where you really have to start looking into moving that contract if you can, attaching a pick to it, whatever, because that's one of the movable contracts that can return you an asset that can actually play. Dallas has someone like a Najee Marshall who brings size and some two-way ability. He can put the ball in the basket. There are guys out there that make around the same amount of money as Buddy Hield, that you can make some package deal and trade him if he doesn't start to figure it out. No one's job safe right now except for Steph Curry. I mean, Steve Kerr said it. He's like, no one's job is safe, although I hope Mike doesn't trade Steph because he's pretty good. You're muted. Mute monster got you. It happens.
Oh, the mute monster got me. Okay, so here's the reason why. For folks who are watching, maybe you'll be able to see this, but I'm afraid the dogs are going to bark again. I had to check the Ring camera while you were talking, and the neighbors had some sort of gathering across the street. There were like 5 cars in the driveway in front of their house, and there now are people outside powwowing, like in the street.
I think they're Lions fans. They're having a big Lions shit.
Literally, though, I think they were having some kind of, because you could see the TV through their front window, and it looked like there was football on at one point. So that's why I was afraid the dogs were going to bark again. So I muted myself because there's clearly some kind of street gathering going on. Okay, so going back to what I was going to ask you, though, make it make sense is what I was saying. Buddy Hield comes to the Warriors, has put up like historic 3-point shooting numbers, joins a team where there was a player who draws more gravity than any player or close to any player in this league beyond the arc. Has to be beyond the arc, any player. I'm convinced, even in the back half of his career, because he can shoot the ball at such a high rate. Draws more gravity. He's playing alongside a player in the backcourt with more gravity. He's playing on a team full of 3-point shooters, or at least they used to be full of 3-point shooters. I don't know what's happened this season. And he is putting up career low, beyond career low numbers, like significantly worse than his rookie season, please make it make sense. This is a man who is a 39.5 career 3-point shooter, including the horrible numbers that he's putting up. This year, he's making 1.5 threes per game on 4.5 attempts, 32% from beyond the arc. His worst season ever has been like a 37% shooting season. Actually, he's 136. I'm looking at his career stats now. But this is a guy who has consistently been shooting 38, 39, 40, 43, multiple seasons of shooting 43, 44% from beyond the arc. He has never shot the ball this poorly. Make it make sense. He's playing with one of the greatest 3-point shooters in the game who's drawing double teams every time down the floor. Not that Buddy's always on the floor with Steph Curry, but still, this is also a team that wants to shoot the three, that gives you the opportunity to shoot a lot of threes, that was trying to replace Klay Thompson in terms of being able to let it fly. And Buddy can't hit water if he fell out of a boat. Make it make sense. Sorry, it's the end of my rant.
Rant over. When we return, we're going to talk about the Warriors' upcoming schedule and why they have a chance to make some ground up. A lot of work to do, but a Christmas Day game with Klay Thompson coming up. It's the Magic before then. We'll tell you how the Warriors can get it done. No Franz Wagner, but the Magic do have some guys that have really stepped up since the last time we saw that team a couple of weeks ago. This is Locked On Warriors, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We'll be right back.
Who can stop Steph Curry?
Hopefully we'll never find out.
NFL Sundays move fast. One big play and suddenly everything feels different. That's why live betting with FanDuel is so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds. Every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment. Live betting is best when the game starts to shift. A receiver gets hot, a defense tightens up, or momentum flips after a turnover. FanDuel lets you jump in on the moment. Live spreads and money lines just instantly. Player props update as guys heats up, and you can bet next touchdown scores, drive results, totals, and more. It keeps you locked into every snap, every drive, every possibility. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com. Place your NFL live bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so do you. All right, let's get back to the show.
Destroy Jimmy and Domino's. I know Jimmy drinks great wine.
All right, not to timestamp this or anything, but it is late at night. Are you drinking a Ghost Energy right now?
Why you got to expose me like that? And I literally was just taking
I saw you take a sip of that, and I'm like, it is late.
Yeah, because I need
it's almost
something
10
to get
o'clock
me through the rest
Pacific
of the
time.
show, because I have to talk about the Warriors' struggles. Although we're coming off a win, so we should all be happy. They finally won a clutch game. Although something that we haven't touched on is the fact that the Suns realistically could have tied it. They had a wide open corner three on like the second to last possession with like seconds to go that luckily rimmed out. The Warriors defense still has room for improvement based on what we saw during that last stretch. But they did hit some shots. They did do enough to close it out. The Warriors were due, because in some of these losses, I do think it's fair to say they've been unlucky in some of the close games. But coming into the Suns game, the Warriors had a 5-10 record in clutch games, which are defined by being a 5-point or less difference in the game within the last 5 minutes of the game. So they've been in a lot of games, which is a positive thing. They've not been winning a lot of those close games, which is not a positive thing. So I think they were due for some luck. They're able to close it out. And then I look ahead at the fact that you have an opportunity against an Orlando team that's also struggled. Now, granted, Orlando is coming off of a tight win themselves. I think they just beat the Jazz in OT. And then you mentioned the injuries. Jalen Suggs is dealing with a bruised hip. And then you mentioned Franz Wagner with the, I think, sprained ankle. So this should be an opportunity for the Warriors to get one back. They lost to Orlando last time they met. But you're going up against a team that also may have some doubts and is dealing with some injuries. Warriors need to get back-to-back wins. They need it right now.
Anthony Black has been playing really good basketball. He's a big guard for the Magic. He's a tough matchup. Interested to see how the Warriors do with some of that perimeter size that they have. That was one of the big issues in the last game, was just the size that the Magic had. They were able to bully the Warriors and really keep them in check defensively. But this stretch coming up, it's the Magic, it's the Mavericks, it's the Raptors, it's the Nets, it's the Hornets. Now, before the season, I would have said Magic are tough. The other four should be cakewalks. The Raptors are having a good season right now.
Yeah.
Better season than the Warriors, to be honest with you. And that's going to be an interesting matchup because the Raptors are huge. Like Scotty Barnes, RJ Barrett, go up and down. They have a true center in Jakob Poeltl. They have who am I missing right now out of the bunch? They have another huge guard that I'm missing. Oh, Brandon Ingram.
Yeah.
They got Brandon Ingram, whether you want to call him a guard, a forward, he'll get to the mid-range.
Yeah, exactly.
He'll eviscerate, pods if he switched on him, or Moody, whoever, because he's got that long 6'9" frame that he could shoot over just about anyone. So that's a tough team. But after that, you have some winnable games with the Hornets, with the Brooklyn Nets. So this is a stretch where the Warriors really need to start making some moves here. Do you think if they were to struggle during the stretch, let's say hypothetically they go 2-3 and they're 4 or 5 games below 500 on January 15th, do you think the results over the next couple of weeks will force Joe Lacob into a decision, or do you think he's already made up his mind that they're going all in for, another shot for Steph Curry? Like, do you think if they really struggled over the next couple of weeks, it would make a different mindset, or no?
I mean, I think it would just amp up the pressure from the fans and from the public, because if the Warriors continue to go downhill, there's just going to be more noise being made and more pressure on the front office to make a move. I mean, based on the email that Joe Lacob sent to fan, like, was that real?
He's working on it. It was real. He's working on it.
I mean, that allegedly is real. I still kind of find that hard to believe.
No, it's not allegedly. It's confirmed.
It is confirmed real.
Raymond Ritter
well,
confirmed it's real.
Yes. If you see, anyway, so if you've seen all of the, there's tweets, there's articles about it. Joe Lacob flat out emailed a fan back who was complaining about the team's issues. And said that they were actively working on upgrading this roster. And I think that needs to happen regardless of what happens in this next stretch. I just think the fans are going to be more upset and more angry. And obviously morale is going to go down with the team if they continue to struggle against some teams that are in the bottom 4, 5, 6 in their respective conferences. Now, not all of these teams they face during that stretch, but like I said, I just think it's going to amp up the pressure. But to me, regardless, like if the Warriors go 3-2, even if they go 4-1, I still think you have to make a move at the deadline. My concern with some of the teams you just mentioned, like the Raptors or even like Orlando, is that the Warriors, and this is a theme moving forward that we need to watch for, the Warriors continue to struggle with teams that have size. The Warriors cannot score in the paint. The Warriors are a bottom 10 team in the NBA in rebounding. And when they're getting beat up on the glass and they give up second chance points or allow teams to bring in offensive boards to extend possessions, it makes life more difficult. And when the Warriors don't have guys who can score in the paint and they don't have size in terms of some of the interior defending or even exterior defending, because the Warriors generally just have a small overall roster, that also makes life extremely difficult for the Dubs. The Warriors, Chuck, I don't know if you knew this, the Warriors are dead last in the NBA in points in the paint. What does that tell you?
That Quentin Post does not play in the paint.
Okay, that's fair, but someone has to. Someone has to. We talked about this the other night. You were complaining the same thing. You're like, who do the Warriors have that can really score on the inside? And I'm like, well, Jimmy Butler, like, kind of like if you can get him on a mismatch, like obviously he does have the ability to back down like guys that are mismatches, and he can like kind of, pull up in the mid range and like hit floaters and stuff ish. But like they don't have a true interior scorer. And to me, that's a huge void that if the Warriors are going to look to make a move before the deadline, to me, that's what I'm addressing, is the fact that there's no interior scoring.
You're not going to find it though. I mean, I agree with you. It'd be nice to have inside out to where you can go down low to a Jokic and orchestrate the offense through him, but you're not getting that. There's not a player out there that's going to be available that can give you that. So I think what the Warriors truly need is someone that can break down a defense, that can play make, that can beat you off the bounce, that can, also score, and also has the ability to pick up point of attack. Now the issue is those players don't exist, at least in terms of being available. So what do? You try to find one that exists. You try to find a player like I'm just naming names, but Zion Williamson or someone that, hasn't really reached their full potential. It's not Zion, Kylan. I'm just naming names.
I was going to say, you are not suggesting the Warriors pick up Zion Williamson, sir.
Well, he's a playmaker, and like defensively, he's not amazing, but he's extremely talented. he's extremely talented defensively, and like in the right setting, he could be really good. And it's just like that type of player that hasn't reached their full potential. Maybe he's been injured. Maybe he's been disgruntled. Maybe he's just young and hasn't popped yet. But that's kind of what the Warriors need to strike gold on, because in terms of finding some finished product, it's not going to happen. They're not out there, at least in the price range that the Warriors need. I mean, we can all cross our fingers for Giannis all day long, but according to Bill Simmons, even with Giannis, the Warriors aren't going anywhere. I think that's kind of asinine. I think if you teamed up Giannis and Curry on the same team healthy, they would go somewhere. May only be second round, but they would go somewhere and they'd be really fun to watch. So any final thoughts, Kylan?
No, I don't disagree with you. Look, you asked me. Actually, I don't even think you asked me. I think I just started spitting out what I would like to see them at. It doesn't mean that it's realistic. It doesn't mean that there's something out there or a trade to be had. But look, you never know. You never know until you make the phone call. You never know until you try to make something happen. I mean, who thought that Luka Doncic was going to be traded from the Dallas Mavericks to the LA Lakers? No one, until it happened. So you just don't know until you try. And I think the Warriors front office should be efforting adding some size. I'm sorry. That's what I'm going to say. Some size. You know what? Going back to it, man, we're running out of time in this episode, but like, would you add a Lauri Markkanen if you had another chance? Because remember, that was supposedly, I mean, I don't know how much you believe that was on the brink of happening with Danny Ainge and in the Jazz, but big guy who can score. Obviously, he can knock down the outside shot and space the floor, which the Warriors love, but also can score at least to some degree and block shots on the inside. But he's averaging what, like 30?
Yeah, I mean, he scores.
He's having a great
awesome,
season. He's averaging like 29 points per game. I mean, dude,
it doesn't help with the point of attack and the
no,
defense.
he does not help with that.
No. The Warriors are getting blown by, and that's kind of the issue. Is you need someone on the perimeter that can really be a stopper, and they just don't have that. And
I agree with you.
There may be some guys out there that are available, a Herb Jones that can stop players on the perimeter, but he's been in and out of the lineup with health issues, and he's a liability from time to time on offense, and he's decently expensive. So there's just a lot of wrinkles right now that are I guess wrinkles isn't the right word, roadblocks that stand in the Warriors' way of really finding a complete two-way player through a trade at the deadline, at least from players that we think are going to be available. And that's kind of the issue that we're in. Unfortunately, you kind of roll with Draymond Green because he's one of the best defenders that you have, and you need the defense. But then at the same time, you see the team playing better without Draymond. I mean, the proof has been in the pudding that they have been playing better this last 3-4 weeks when Draymond doesn't play. So we will see if Steve Kerr ever, with all the tinkering that he does, and all the different lineup mad scientist moves that he makes, we'll see if he ever
bring Draymond Green out of the rotation. Let's be real.
We'll just see if he ever reduces his minutes for a game, and says, hey, maybe I'm going to check this out because I've tried everything at this point. The team just started whooping on the Suns without Draymond in there after he got ejected.
It's a bad thought, but it's just like, realistically, you really think the Steve Kerr that we've all come to know, and some people love him and some people hate him, you really think that?
No, I don't think he will. And that's kind of the promise. I'll try everything else, right? I'll try everything else, but he won't try taking a guy out of the offense that turns it over 8 times a game and can't score the basketball and is frankly a liability. So
I agree.
That's just my take, but this is Locked On Warriors. Kylan, appreciate you for joining the program today. Thank you, everyone, and we'll talk to you soon.
It's been a pleasure. Night, night.